Hey, Fayette County, let's talk news. Not national or international, but local. Not bad news, but good news. Have you heard of Good News Fayette County? It's in person or Zoom community celebration of all the good that's happening in our communities. At these events, upwards of 20 speakers representing everyone from civic organizations, volunteer groups, government, education, health and wellness, faith, and more have 2 minutes to share their good news over a fun, fast-paced 60-minute agenda. Now, listeners enjoy the presentations, but always ask for more details, more information on all the news being shared. So we thought we would bring you our first Good News podcast, where we interview good news speakers at a deeper level for a more in-depth understanding of their efforts and what it means for our county. For our first podcast, Good News production crew members Kim Maxwell and Tim Naylor spent a beautiful afternoon out at the New Roots Community Farm with Susanna Wheeler and Gabe Pena. So we hope you enjoy learning about this amazing asset to our county and the state of West Virginia.
So why don't you just give us kind of an overview of where we are and what happens here?
Sure. So we are at New Roots Community Farm in Fayetteville, just a couple miles outside of town on 16 on an 82-acre farm. The farm is owned by the West Virginia Agrarian Commons, and so that's essentially a community land trust, agricultural land trust. It has a conservation easement on the farm, so that restricts some of the development that can happen out here and ensures that production will be engaged in on the property in perpetuity. And so right now we're in a 6-acre area on the farm, and this is where we do our vegetable production. We do about 3 acres of mixed vegetable production in field and utilizing some high tunnels over there that we'll check out. And that's just really like a passive greenhouse, so it helps to do some season extension so we can grow produce year-round. And then we have our community garden. We've got our multi-use barn where we have our market day going on, working on building a community outdoor oven. Yeah, and then you can see the fields around us are going to be getting cut for hay, and the old farmstead just over there.
You know, I feel like when I showed up 20 years ago, there were a few anchors, but this is another anchor. It's got to feel really awesome to be setting that for the community moving forward too.
Yeah, it does feel that way, and we want to carry that forward. And I think a big part of that has been that, you know, there were so many people involved in the initial conversations, right? It did happen, you know, the initiation of the project in the county government, but they held lots of public meetings and tried to garner input and feedback as to what the community wanted to see. And I think that process and that buy-in really builds a good foundation for the staying power of an entity. And so we're excited to keep carrying that forth and figuring out how we can continue to engage folks in the community and how they want to see this utilized as a resource.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So the community can be involved as is by how? You listed a few things already, but again, so there's the community garden.
Yeah, community garden. We have a lot of folks that come out and volunteer that like to be in the field with us, that are curious about farming or gardening or want to meet new folks. We have a lot of people that are new to town and they've not, and you know, this project really started up in the time of COVID, and so meeting spaces that were outside that might not be totally outdoor rec centered. So we saw that folks were like, we want a different type of space to come and interact with people in the community that felt safe. We work with Turner Appalachian Farm Collective, and so they offer wholesale and retail markets for farmers, and they offer an online ordering system. So every week folks can go online and order products from farmers all around really the southern part of the state, but also some in the northern part of the state. Order online, and then we are the pickup location for Fayetteville. So just kind of expanding both opportunities for farmers to market their products outside of their region, and for consumers in the area to maybe have a wider variety of products available to them. So,
and then as far as volunteering, is there any particular that people need to do that, or they just show up?
Really, they can just show up. Tuesdays are our committed volunteer days, but folks can always reach out to us online. We have an information email or social media, and if that day doesn't fit with their schedule, there's other ways to plug in, and you don't have to be interested in getting your hands dirty. There's all kinds of ways to be involved. I think I want the community to know that this is a space that is available to them, and a resource, and that they can interact with the space in a way that makes sense for them, and to not feel that it's something exclusive. And if there are organizations that feel like there's overlap in some of the work that we're trying to do around economic and community development, just to reach out and see if there's a way to partner and not be doing all of our work in the silos that we sometimes get caught in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing here, Susie, and like the guidance that you're providing moving forward, because this is an amazing skill set that you have, both the actual hands-on farming stuff and then the management and managing all the moving pieces that you do to keep it rolling.
I feel like I'm winging it a lot of the time,
Not with your bad self.
but
it's working.
yeah, I think that's a component of it, and definitely appreciate the mentors that I've found in the community that have, helped kind of usher on and answer some of these questions as I come into learning how to change with the growth of the project and with the growth of the positions that are here, and yeah.
Yeah, because it has already evolved a whole bunch.
Yeah, lots of evolution.
Okay, cool. So we are talking to Gabe Pena, Development Director of the New Roots Community Farm. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your role at the farm.
So yeah, I'm essentially looking at programs that can expand our impact in the community, and also the grant funding resources that will help us do that. And so I'm kind of a glorified grant writer and project manager, beyond the actual operation of the farm, and trying to figure out how to increase community access to food, increase training opportunities, and really grow the programs that we offer, which one that I'm really focused on right now is getting more farms into the West Virginia Agrarian Commons program, which creates access to farmland for farmers. But while I'm just now becoming the development director of the farm, I've had a hand in this project since its inception in 2016. And so in 2016, when the global demand for coal really took a dive, the county commission, because of local coal companies declaring bankruptcy, saw a major hit in their revenue. And there was a conversation occurring within the county commission, within the county courthouse, about how can we bring the resources that we have to bear to help grow and diversify the area's economy, the county's economy. And the Farmland Protection Board and some of their members pointed out that they were sitting on a decent amount of money, which is for preserving farmland. And at that same time, this farm came up for auction. The Whitlock farm came up for auction. And so we had a discussion about, would the Farmland Protection Board be interested in purchasing that farm outright, so that we, from the Fayette County Resource Coordinator standpoint, could figure out how to turn that farm into a demonstration farm that would help us grow the agricultural economy to help diversify the area's economy. And then we were able to get a feasibility study that kind of showed how exactly we would be able to operate this farm, and kind of delineated a business plan, where we would put the high tunnels, where we would put the barn, where we would put a road to enter this place, like all those kind of little details. And that allowed us to start to fundraise. Now, we did have to have the Urban Renewal Authority come in and lease this farm. So because the Farmland Protection Board, they were interested in holding the farm, but they weren't interested in operating a farm. The URA was more interested in being that entity that would oversee the revenue that we generated, oversee the grant funds that we were able to get awarded. And so they were the entity that came in and said, we'll operate the farm. And so 2019, we were able to get some funding for infrastructure. We broke ground in February 2019, and we built the barn, we built the fence, and then in 2020, we started actual production. So this is our third year of production. But it was clear to Susanna and I 1920, that the farm, we could not sustain it within the county. It would not be able to grow to its full potential under the county Farmland Protection Board. So we started talking to the Agrarian Trust about farmland preservation and how this farm could be moved from out of the county but continue to operate. And what we came up with was the West Virginia Agrarian Commons, which is a 501c2 land holding entity, and their mission is simply to bring farms into that land holding entity to create access for marginalized communities, people of color, under-resourced farmers to have access to farmland. So New Roots Community Farm is their flagship farm. So we want to create access to farmland, but also on that same token, like provide the resources necessary for people to be able to know how to farm and farm profitably, sustainably, so that we can continue growing the agricultural economy of the area in a fashion that is not only equitable, but sustainable.
So diversifying the economy here, that's one piece of it, but also it's never been more important to know how to grow your own food and to feel like you can survive locally.
I like to point out that the West Virginia flag has both a coal miner and a farmer on it, so it's very much part of the heritage of this area. And so, yes, we are looking at this as an economic development tool. And that's a long-term goal, to diversify the area's economy. We have a lot of work to do to get people to where they're willing to go into business as farmers or as food-based businesses. But it feels like in the more immediate term, like building a more resilient food system, a more responsive food system, a stronger supply chain, that's a real opportunity. And to let people know, you have an opportunity to play a role in the food system around here.
Ooh, that's awesome. Because we have the resources.
Yeah.
We have the land, we have the water, we have the people. Ooh, that's awesome. That are willing to.
Because
we have the resources. We have the land, we have the water, we have the people that are
Yeah,
willing to work.
I think the average age of West Virginia farmers is 65.
And the confidence probably too, right?
We definitely, if we're going to preserve agriculture in a meaningful way, then we need to make sure that young people are getting engaged, young entrepreneurs are getting engaged in growing food and being part of the agricultural system.
So a little more about programming and things like that. Okay, that makes sense. So a little more about programming and things like that.
The apprenticeship program
for young people here. You have
really
anything about that?
Key to getting folks really engaged in agriculture. I mean, we can have trainings out here for farmers, potential farmers, aspiring farmers. But I think the apprenticeship program that we offer really gets growers understanding what all goes into really growing food. Everything from starting seeds, to cultivating rows, to finding market outlets to move your products into. And that's part of the training. We also do offer demonstrations, right? How do you build and operate a high tunnel? You see some very nice trellis tomatoes here. We keep a close eye on all the different suckers and how these things grow so that we can optimally grow tomatoes. I mean, these things have been went on to grow tomatoes for 2-3 weeks now, but we trim them back, cut off all those early tomatoes to assure that the ones that we do get, that the plants are strong and healthy so that they can sustain vigorous growth. And so it's seeing those things and how it works and the time that it takes to cultivate these tomatoes the way that they're going to meet their genetic potential is something that, again, I think you need to really have hands-on opportunities. And so that's what we offer here. Those are the kind of hands-on demonstrations that we offer to not only the farm apprentices, but the volunteers that come out. And then we do want to structure more trainings in partnership with WVU Extension, West Virginia State University Extension, with the soil conservation districts that are around here to really make this a convening place where people can learn about, again, effective, efficient, intensive growing. Again, to really kind of create a more resilient and more equitable and just food system.
What else do you want the community to know?
So our market that we offer here on site is from 1 to 6 every Thursday, really through the growing season. So that's May through October, maybe November, depending on how warm or free, whether the frost sets in or not. And if you want to be part of the team, we will have AmeriCorps positions opening up The AmeriCorps programs that we have are really focused on getting out into the school systems, getting out into communities and providing access to local food. Because while, the part of creating a more just and equitable food system is making sure that people who need food have food. In Fayette County, we still struggle with persistent poverty. And so trying to meet people where they're at to provide them with more, whole foods that are going to contribute to their wellness is something that we work to do. And one partner that we have in that is the Fayette County Board of Education, right? They have a great farm to school program, and they're working, the Office of Child Nutrition with the Fayette County Board of Education is working hard to provide local food, not just from New Ridge Community Farm, but from West Virginia in general, in their backpack programs, in their pop-up markets they have on campus, and in cafeterias.
Well, thank you for the work that you're doing, Gabe.
We feel like in a world that's really kind of chaotic right now, we have some control over what's happening right here in our food system, and we hope to continue growing that to have a broader impact in our community.
Awesome. Having you and Susanna both at the reins of this is pretty powerful. And then you have an awesome team as well, it seems like, right?
We do. We have a 6-member team, 8 if you count our AmeriCorps members right now.
Okay.
And they're all bought in. They're all
Yeah.
bought in, and it's a well-functioning team. We're trying to build a culture of collaboration, of wholesome, like, collaboration to expand what we have here so that other people can be part of it. We want to be inclusive as possible. We want to offer everything that we're learning here to all members of the community so that they can be part of a just and equitable food system and have positive interactions with the food system so that can contribute to their wellness.
Yeah.
So,
right. It's such an important piece of life. What gratifying work it must be. Not just the growing, but the growing and the growing.
yeah.
That's awesome.
It does. It feels good. And I'm happy to be a part of making this happen.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, thanks again for what you do.
Thanks for coming out.
Wow. Thank you, New Roots Community Farm. How lucky are we to have an organization like this in our community? Wow. Also, big thanks to you, Kim and Tim. Thanks for bringing us this good news. I know Kim enjoyed the fresh vegetables she took home from the farm after the interview, and you can too. Support New Roots. So, was this podcast enjoyable? Do you want more? Please send us your thoughts at goodnewsfayettcounty@gmail.com. Again, that's goodnewsfayettcounty@gmail.com. We need your feedback. Lastly, this fall, we will return to live Good News events with a community gathering on Tuesday, November 15th. Hope to see you there. Be sure to look for updates from our partner at the Fayette County Chamber.